Your dog did not choose you. You were just the easiest target available. Not the strongest animal, not the smartest one either. Just the most reliably messy one. Ancient humans were, by most measures, a walking buffet. Loud camps, predictable routes, abandoned kills. No natural camouflage, no fangs, no venom. Ancient humans were loud, slow, and smelled like dinner. And yet, here we are, 15,000 years later. The animal that should have eaten us is now sleeping in our beds. Let's talk about how that actually happened. Because it was not heroic, it was not intentional. And it was definitely not about love at first sight. It started with garbage. Specifically, our garbage. 30,000 years ago, wolves were everywhere. Most wolves stayed well away from humans. Smart, but some wolves, a small fraction, were different. Less fearful, slightly bolder, genetically wired that way. These were the wolves who noticed the scraps first, and stayed close enough to benefit from them. Not because they liked us, because we were convenient. Now here is the part nobody planned. The wolves that came closest got the most food. More food means more pups. More pups inherit the boldness. Generation by generation. Nobody voted on this. No humans sat down and decided to domesticate a wolf. They were just throwing bones over their shoulder, and the bolder wolves kept catching them. This is called the dump heap hypothesis. Yes, really, 15,000 years of partnership started by rubbish. But wait, we were also getting something out of this. Not affection, not companionship, not yet. An alarm system. That's what we got first. Wolves barked at anything that approached the camp. Predators, other humans, a suspicious deer. Ancient humans suddenly had a living perimeter sensor. For free, no training required, entirely by accident. And the humans who slept near these wolves survived better, which means they had more children who also tolerated wolves. Selection pressure running on both species simultaneously. Loop, feeding each other, no one in charge. Now here's where it gets genuinely strange. Tameness in animals comes packaged with other changes. Floppy ears, curly tails, smaller teeth, rounder faces, shorter snouts, spotted coats. These are called domestication syndrome traits. Nobody selected for floppy ears. They just came with the deal. Select for calm. Get floppy ears as a bonus. Accidental. We know this because of an experiment that proved it. In 1959, a Soviet scientist began breeding foxes. Only the calmest foxes were allowed to breed. Each generation. Within 10 generations, floppy ears, spotted coats, wagging tails, seeking human eye contact, dog-like. They only selected for tameness. Everything else followed. The wolf experiment had been running for 15,000 years. Humans were the unwitting fox farmers the whole time. Now let's talk about what changed inside the wolf's brain. Less cortisol, that is the stress hormone. Calmer stress response means staying near the camp longer. Longer visits mean more food, more pups. You see it. But there is another change, a critical one. Dogs developed the ability to read human faces. Not smell, not sound, human, facial expressions. Wolves cannot do this. Chimpanzees cannot do this. Dogs can, exclusively, only dogs. A dog looks where you point. Infants do this, not chimps. That is a shared social cognition. Evolved during domestication. Wolves did not have it. The process created it. Over thousands of generations, accidentally. And here's the part that should embarrass us slightly. Dogs may have shaped us as much as we shaped them. Groups with dogs hunted more effectively. Dogs could track. Dogs could flush out prey. Dogs could follow a scent for miles. That advantage compounded for thousands of years. Groups without dogs may have lost the competition entirely, which means the humans alive today descend from dog tolerators. We were selected for dog tolerance. Without knowing it, the wolf was domesticating the human simultaneously. Two species editing each other, no plan. Now, about 15,000 years of this later, we get to dogs. And dogs are strange, really strange. There are 400 recognized breeds. From one ancestor, a Chihuahua and a Great Dane share the same origin. That is the fastest morphological divergence of any mammal. We did that. By accident. Again, early humans didn't breed for type. They bred for function. Fast dogs for hunting, loud dogs for guarding. Herding dogs developed almost independently in multiple regions. Same solution, different places, same accident running in parallel. And then humans started doing something even stranger. They started keeping dogs that did nothing useful at all. Companion dogs appear in the archaeological record. Deliberately bred. We were keeping animals purely for emotional utility, which is strange. Very few animals do this across species. Dogs release oxytocin when they look at us. So do we. The same bonding chemical released between a parent and child. Your brain cannot fully distinguish the bond. Chemically. We didn't plan that. The wolves came for the garbage. And 15,000 years later, they are chemically family. Now, the part about what wolves gave up, because domestication cost the wolf something real. Dogs are less intelligent than wolves on problem-solving tasks. A wolf tries harder and longer. A dog looks at you for help. They outsourced their problem-solving to us permanently. The trade? Independence for guaranteed food and shelter. The wolf essentially became a dependent, evolutionarily. And that worked out extraordinarily well for them. 900 million dogs on Earth right now. Wild wolves around 300,000, declining. The bold ones who stayed near the fire won, massively. Independence was the losing strategy. Dependence, the thing that looks like weakness, was the whole game. A loophole. In the logic of survival, no one found it on purpose. 15,000 years ago, a wolf edged closer to a fire. Not because it felt love, because it felt less afraid. Nobody decided anything. The mechanism ran on its own. And what it produced, after 15,000 years, was an animal that can read your face better than your friends can. An animal that releases your bonding chemical when it glances at you. That started because we threw our leftovers on the ground. You didn't choose your dog. Your garbage did. Tonight, when your dog locks eyes with you from across the room. Remember, it started with a wolf deciding your rubbish was worth the risk. That's the loophole. If this landed, subscribe. Next one is just as strange.